Welcome to Good Thing, Bad Thing. I am Jabby Kawai, a.k.a. Fun Guy.
And I'm Centel, a.k.a. Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. This is a show where two people discuss things they care about entirely way too much. So let's just get right to it, man. What's my good thing today? My good thing is cryogenics. And anything in science that helps perpetuate life. There's a scientist out there, I can't remember his name right now, but he talks about being able to replace body parts so that you could extend your life basically indefinitely. The only part they're having a complicated time figuring out is the brain. The brain is the hardest part because everything else is easy to replace.
How the hell are you going to replace your brain?
You have to do it slowly, apparently, like in small bits. I'm not really clear on the science. I'm not a fucking scientist, but it seems to make sense to him. And so he says, replace everything slowly, and because otherwise you're going to lose yourself. You're not going to have the same. You're basically, the brain is the foundation of your everything that makes you who you are, your identity.
Yeah.
So that has to be replaced as slowly as possible. Your whole body gets replaced every 7 years.
Right.
I've
heard that.
And so they have to do something like that with the brain in order to keep that going. Now, until they can figure this shit out, which I'm all for, I gotta subscribe to cryogenics, because then it's like, how else can you preserve yourself until this technology comes out, until scientists release it, until the government says, okay, we don't have to, put a hold on this and keep making money off medicine and people dying. We can let this come out. They say the first person to live to 150 will only be 10 years older than the first person to live to 1,000. Based on how fast. Go ahead, man.
Okay, first off,
go ahead, man.
Cryogenics is just a fancy word of saying, I got some new snake oil I can sell you. What's wrong with aging out gracefully? All right.
Everything. You get old, your knees start to hurt, you don't heal as quick, women don't want to fuck you anymore because you look creepy, but you still have the same sexual interest. Have you been to a fucking 24-hour fitness? Like, look at any fucking hot chick, there's an old guy next to her on the treadmill going, hey, what's up, baby? Because he's got interest, and he's old and alone and desperate for sex.
And his dick doesn't work.
Yeah, no, incorrect, sir. There is something called Viagra. It works just fine, and they have more stamina than we do when they take that shit. So, but there's still that longing to have a partner. It's like, what are they supposed to do? Nothing. There's things in your DNA that basically, I should have done my research a little bit more before I brought this in. But because I've read about it and watched a lot of videos on it. But there are basically these managers, this is the easiest way to put it, in your DNA that basically go, okay, taking care of this and that in your body, and eventually that manager just stops working. It stops cleaning you out, and that's when you get old and you rapidly age. They've done tests on worms where they replaced, this is not the right word, if you look up manager, it's not going to be manager, but there's a certain DNA strand in your body. It's in worms. And so this lady did a test, and she says, worms only live for like 2 weeks, right? And they showed the worm at the beginning of its life. They showed the worm at the end of its life, and it was barely moving at the end of its life, right? And that worm was untouched. Then they showed the worm that they genetically enhanced with the better genetic manager. At 2 weeks, it was moving like it was just born. So this is a possibility. It is something that you can do to perpetuate life. Not just perpetuate life, but quality of life. So you don't have to be an old man hitting on the old chicks. You can, hitting on the old chicks, but hitting on the young chicks. You can be looking like this for the next, indefinitely. Wouldn't that be fucking awesome?
No. Okay, so I'm going to nerd out a little bit. I've read a couple of Anne Rice books. The Interview with the Vampire, the Lestat books and all that. And one of the big curses of being a vampire is the curse of immortality. And the reason why it's a curse is because, there's nothing. Eventually, you become irrelevant. You become irrelevant physically. You become irrelevant in love. You become irrelevant just through history. You get to sit back and watch everything that you know and love die around you. Secondly,
if everybody's doing cryogenics or advancing themselves genetically, then no one's dying anymore.
Not everybody's going to do that.
You don't need to have 5 children anymore. You can just have the one and make that one work. Okay. And they can, and then you can see your great grandkids. Wouldn't that be fucking awesome?
All right, listen, I'm in my late 30s already, and I can already tell and see the major gap in generations between the way that I think and the way that somebody that's just now turning into manhood or womanhood, some 18-year-old kid. It's huge. Now, extend that gap to me having like an 80-year-old mentality, and I'm trying to keep in touch with the youth that are in their 20s. You are going to be culturally dead in a sense because you're not going to be able to relate. You're going to be holding onto ideas and thoughts and concepts that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they're already on some 2040 shit. You're going to be irrelevant, and those younger people are going to be who's going to be running the world. And as you become, there's stuff that we talk about right now where you sound like an old man shaking your cane. Now imagine you living up to be like 300 and something years old, and you're still thinking that it's like 2005. All right, and it's 2200. You are going to be miserable. And then not only that, it's just statistics alone. You're playing the dice. Just because you have the capacity to live longer doesn't mean disasters, eventual events like car accidents, sicknesses, any other random thing is just going to take out the people that you love. And just because you have the capacity to live to 300 doesn't mean that you're going to make it.
Right. Sure, but if all things like being okay and you don't get killed by a car accident or something, wouldn't you want to keep living and being able to, like, if I knew I was going to live for 1,000 years, I would read way more books because I'd be like, I've got the time.
Then why don't you just see that's the beautiful thing about having an end to your life is that it gives every day purpose.
Yeah, fear. That's the purpose every day. I'm like, oh my God, how much time do I have left?
That's a driving force.
I can't read Game of Thrones.
If you think that you don't have enough time to read now in the 80 plus years, well, yeah, you're Asian, so your life expectancy is probably gonna be a hell of a lot higher than
127.
mine. God, Jesus Christ, that's some racist shit, but it works. Yeah. So if you can't get your shit together to read whatever books that you can now in the little 80-year span that you have now, you think that you're gonna that type of getting your shit together and doing things on time is going to be any better. You're going to procrastinate even worse if you know that you can live to be 1,000. Nothing will ever get done because the theory of there's always tomorrow is going to hold even more weight. It's going to be a society full of people that don't do shit because they can always put it off until tomorrow. And then not only that, people have to die off so that other people can fill the place. There's gonna be this gigantic line in the sand between the people that have taken this never-ending death formula, and it's gonna be a subgroup of them and another group of younger people that are gonna want to run and control things, and this group of old people aren't going to allow it to happen. It's happening right now with these baby boomers in politics right now. That's why you have like all these old dumb policies that won't upgrade and move forward. Imagine what it's gonna be when this group of people that can live for another 100, 200 plus years are dictating policy because they're not going to let it go, which means there's going to be zero growth in the culture. Nothing is going to move past the ideologies that you've had since the 1995s and the 2010s, and it's going to be the year 2300, and we're still going to be thinking on a basic internet style thinking when they're on some nano intricate beehive colonized type thinking. We're not going to buy into it, and all it's going to do is move us backwards in growth instead of moving us forward.
Agree to disagree.
Oh.
Seriously, man.
You can't live forever, man. Life is a video game, and at some point, you've got to beat the game.
I want to just keep hitting that reset button, dude.
But you can't, man.
Yes, you can.
And not only that, I don't care how good a game is, you're going to get bored. You're going to get bored with your life.
Fine. I want to choose the expiration. I don't want it to choose me.
So along with this magical pill that you could take that can make you live forever, you want to be able to yank the plug yourself too?
Yeah.
So these old people will have like a euphemism pill too, euthanasia pill.
Just basically, yeah. You choose your poison.
But what if you're just having a bad day and you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to just end it all. And you just, then it's done.
Telomeric. That's what it's called. Long telomeric DNA. Anyway, you also can look this up your fucking self.
You've got to die. You have to, man.
No, wrong.
How are you going to have growth, man? Everything's going to be the same. Like, okay, you're great.
Okay, you have to introduce two things at the same time.
Okay.
You have to kill off the stupid people who don't contribute and let the people who are contributing live longer. You have to make killing legal.
Jesus Christ. It's like the Hunger Games now.
Imagine if Einstein and Steve Jobs and fuck, who else? Isaac Newton. Imagine if all three of these people could have a conversation. What would they put out together?
But there's going to be other versions of them, is what I'm saying. Genius is going to happen regardless. There's going to be other versions of it with newer ideas and a newer way of looking at those.
I
ideas.
want to be there to see it. I want to be like, yeah.
You're not curious about what the next step is? I mean, I know this
Not
is like a death
at
talk.
all. Not at all. I am not a flatliners. No, thank you.
I'm not rushing to the grave. I'm not saying that, man. But the game is going to get tiresome.
Okay, here. Look, now we're getting into like kind of a meta spiritual debate here.
Okay.
So, you don't know what happens when you go.
Clueless.
No matter, like, as religious as you might be, as spiritual as you might think you are, you don't have any evidence whatsoever that something follows. Now, I've had weird experiences, which I will share with you right now. Did I ever tell you about the time I was at the Ambassador Hotel?
No.
Okay. So, my dad and I knew this guy who's starring in this film, and they were shooting at the Ambassador Hotel. The Ambassador Hotel, if you don't know, is abandoned, or they may have reopened it, but it's this huge, monstrously large hotel. And so I got bored and I was walking around. It's abandoned. It's interesting. As a kid, you're just curious. And I'm going through like the hotel rooms. I'm like, this is pretty interesting. And then I go downstairs. I go into the kitchen area. And there's like this blue light coming from the ceiling. It's got this weird just tone to it. And I took a step forward into the kitchen. Like I'm in the center of the kitchen. And this weird creepy feeling came over me, and I'm like, and it was like it was eating me inside. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get out of here now. I need to go. I need to find people. And I ran as fast as I could until I found like the crew, and I'm like, do not go in there. Like I did not go back inside. And I found out later on that's where Bobby Kennedy was shot.
So you thought that was the spirit of Bobby Kennedy?
I have no fucking clue. I have no evidence to support that. I just had a weird feeling, and it was a big fat coincidence that where I had the feeling is where Bobby Kennedy was shot. I don't know if there's an afterlife. I don't know if there are ghosts. But I'm inclined to think there's something. I don't know what, but I have no evidence, so I'd rather live forever.
See, you're like that guy that only plays his favorite level over and over and over and over again and is afraid to move forward into the game because he loves that level so much.
What? Expand on that, please.
All right.
Expand how that equates to death.
We're playing Zelda. Okay, let's just say that the game Zelda is life from beginning to end, and you're in one of these dungeons, and you have your favorite dungeon, where it's the most fun to play, it's the funnest villains to kill, whatever it is, and you stay in there. You never finish the big boss because you're just having so much fun. But there's a whole lot of other dungeons to conquer. I think to me is what kind of like what life is. And right now, this little life that we're doing right now is just this dungeon that you're in. And you got to finish the boss or let the boss finish you so you can move on and do some more dungeon crawling. Life is games, man. That's just all I'm just trying to say. You can't be scared to go to the next level.
I don't see perpetuating your life as resting on your laurels.
It's lazy. It's not moving forward. It's being scared.
It's not being lazy. It's the exact opposite.
How?
Life is hard.
Of course it's hard.
Yeah.
So why would you want to extend it?
Death is the easy way out.
No, death is the natural way out. I'm not saying
whatever.
walking around blowing your brains out and choking down sleeping pills and no dumb shit like that. But let it play out. Max it out. Play like you're Mario Brothers with one life left, man. That game, when you're playing Mario and you're down to your last life, that shit is fun as hell. Because, every jump's got to be on the money. It's way more fun. But when you play Mario Brothers and you got infinite lives, you're like, I'll try this. I'll do this.
I like that.
No, it's not as fun. There's nothing on the line. Your life is amazing and good and fun because everything is on the line. Extending it for another 200 years is putting in a cheat code, man.
I like cheat codes. I want a Game Genie for life.
You can't have a Game Genie for life.
I want a Game Shark to plug into my DNA and extend this perpetually so I can do more things.
But what happens when you hit up, down, left, right, BA, select, start on your life, and you have 30 men? What happens when you get bored of the game?
You know what it does? It evens the playing field for people like us, I think. Because the thing about it is, like, some people got a head start, right? And so you got people like Mozart who created music when he was 5 years old. Not everyone gets to do that because they didn't have the same upbringing. But a lot of people realize at 25, 30 years old, oh shit, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I would have loved to have started doing at 15 years old. Now all I've got is 10 years to be relevant. But if you could extend that, then and you've got more time to play out that adventure. You've got more time to fulfill your endeavors. And once you've realized, I've done it all, then you can take the sleeping pill.
Procrastination is procrastination. You're either going to procrastinate with 80 years of life or you're going to procrastinate with 400 years of life.
What do you guys think? You let us know in the comments so that we can... whatever, man. We've spent way too much time on the first fucking thing we've brought up to the table.
Because it's a good one. We can keep going. All right.
Okay, what's your good thing?
My good thing is television a la carte. And what I'm saying is, instead of buying into like the complete package of DirecTV, you can instead just buy, perfect example, HBO is now offering their services. You could just get HBO and not have to worry about everything else. Or Netflix is another example of buying media entertainment a la carte. Being able to pick and choose exactly what you want is a good thing.
I disagree. Here's why. I hate the option for too many choices. Wait, okay, so let me back up. Let me make sure I understand you correctly. So you like Netflix, correct?
I like Netflix.
Is this in the same ballpark of what you're talking about?
It is.
Well, be more specific. What do you talk like?
Okay. Let me narrow it down even more.
You prefer being able to click Game of Thrones rather than having to sit and wait till 10 o'clock at night. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, that's all you're saying.
Yeah, I would narrow it down to that. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Television a la carte. If there's a specific show that I want, I could just click it and go, boom, done. I don't have to deal with all this other stuff. I don't have to deal with other options. I know what I want. I can go there. It's like kind of like how men think. We know exactly what we want. When we go shopping, we go get it and we bounce. There's no browsing. It's does this fit me? I'm gonna give this a little chance.
Right.
Nah, I'm going to the store and I'm going to go get my Game of Thrones. And I'm going right there. And not only am I going to get my Game of Thrones, I'm going to get episode 2 of season 3 of Game of Thrones. That's how specific I want it. I go in there, I grab it, and I bounce.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I agree with you. What I contend with is Netflix and having too many options. Just in general, I hate too many options. It bothers me so fucking much because... for instance, Netflix, at the very beginning of your subscription, you goes, what would you like to watch? What are you interested in? And it has you add these different things to your queue. And then at the end of it, you've got like 100 movies in your queue. And I'm like, and so I pop up my Netflix. I can watch TV. I've got an hour. I can watch TV. I got an hour. I spend the entire fucking hour clicking through going, well, I don't know if I should watch that. I don't know if I should watch that. Well, maybe I should watch this one. Nah, fuck. And then before I know it, it's like 50 minutes have gone by and I haven't chosen anything. And I just shut the fucking thing off and I go back to what I was doing before. There's too many options out there. That's my only problem with streaming is it puts too much power in your lap. And I don't think... I'm not comfortable with that kind of power.
Are you an irresponsible surfer? Are you an irresponsible Netflixer?
I don't have the time. I end up not doing it because every time I come to it, I don't know what to choose.
Better question. Okay, and it's a little off topic, but still in the same ballpark, man. Have you cut the cable? Like that's the new thing now, cutting cable and just.
I have not. I don't have TV or cable. I just have Netflix.
Just Netflix.
Just Netflix and streaming, and that's it. I mean, for me being so opposed to it, that's all I have.
Okay. See, I still have DirecTV, and I've cut the cord before. About 4 or 5 years ago, I cut the cord. I cut the cord for about 4 years, and this was back when Netflix was kind of like still relatively new, and it was a real freeing kind of feeling, man. You know, don't get me wrong. There's certain things that you miss, I miss live sporting events. I miss like breaking news and stuff like that. That part kind of sucks, but the freedom of not having to pay like another $120+ a month.
Well, that's bullshit anyway, because most of those fucking channels are garbage that you're getting when you get cable. It's like half of them are just advertisements for buying other shit. You only got like a handful of good things. That's what you're paying for. And even the premium shit, you have to pay even more money for. Like HBO is a thing unto itself that you have to pay for.
Well, what about breaking news? Then how do you deal with that?
Twitter.
Let's just
Twitter.
Yeah, but it's one thing to tweet, but it's another thing to see it live action and have somebody like a reporter tell you how it goes.
I just watched a car chase live on my phone the other day, like a couple weeks ago. This guy was trying to evade the cops, and he went up on top of a roof, and he was just hanging out there with a gun. Or he didn't have a gun. It's irrelevant. You can watch live shit on your phone. You don't need to pay for cable to do that.
What about the TV experience, man? Of channel surfing. You don't channel surf anymore?
Eventually, the internet is going to bring channel surfing back. I'm pretty sure. The internet's the future, so they're going to bring that back. That's not going to go away. They're going to find a way to make it just like the TV your parents had. You can click through.
Hey, do you actually remember when TV turned off? When they actually played the national anthem like around midnight and then the bars came on? Damn, maybe I'm dating myself. Nobody remembers that?
You're old as shit.
There was a time when TV actually turned off.
You need cryogenics, my friend.
No, I'm welcoming death.
All right, let's go to the bad things,
right,
man. Let's go to the bad thing. Oh, I remember what it is. All right. This is a pet peeve of mine that goes back a long way with us. I am not a fan of the Raid movies. I consider myself a martial arts film aficionado, as you know. I love martial arts movies. I'll watch martial arts movies all day long. But I don't think the Raid constitute as good martial arts films. And what's bothering me is so many people are going, you can't disagree that you can't say that these aren't the greatest martial arts movies ever made. I'm like, oh, I very well can. I just did. Oh, look, I did it again. I disagree.
Yeah,
like, it's not, let me get it out. Okay, here's my thing in particular. Let's narrow this down to the Raid 2 for now.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay, now everyone goes, wow, like it all looks so real. I'm like, yeah, and that got boring because every 2 seconds, someone's getting their face slammed into a fucking pipe or something like that, and I'm like, okay, that was cool the first time, maybe the second. Maybe the third.
Pipe smashing is always
But
good.
it's like, they did it like 100 times, and I'm like, okay, now this is boring. Now it's just porn. Now it's just porn violence. That's all it is. Oh. Get out of here with that shit. Now, okay, now breaking this down from a fight choreographer's perspective, which you always accuse me of, right? Mm-hmm. The fights are too long. The fights don't go any... Now, it's not the length of the fight that bothers me. It's just the choreography in general isn't going anywhere. It's just pop, 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 face slam. And it's like, it's the same thing every single time. In particular, the last fight of the Raid 2 was just like pop, 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 for 10 minutes. I'm like, when is this gonna fucking end?
Oh my gosh, it's like one big
it was
kung fu orgy of just ass kicking.
It's like, the metronome, you know what I'm talking about?
I know what a metronome is.
Imagine the metronome ticking really fast for 10 minutes. That's what those fight scenes are. Every fight scene in the Raid is the metronome ticking really fast. There's no variation in rhythm. There's no danger. It's just they're fighting and beating each other up for 10 minutes straight, and it's over.
How is there no danger when at any given time, especially seeing as how the Raid 2 started with certain characters being, eliminated before the credits pretty much came up? There's always an element of danger because you have no idea who's going to make it and who isn't. Outside of the main character, it's pretty much a guarantee that the main character is going to somewhat survive. You have no idea who's going to live and how they're going to die. So there's always an element of risk. And then not only that, it's just waiting for the payoff because the great thing about the Raid is that it's like playing a video game and that, especially the very first one, where each level you went up was like a new change up. Like they went up with guns and they ran out of bullets and then they had to use their fists. And then there was like a mini boss. And then after the mini boss, you had the big boss. I don't understand. How is that not entertaining?
Okay, look, the Raid 1 started out pretty cool.
It was awesome.
It started out cool. And shit got serious when like the cop shot the bullet. I saw the movie once, and this was a long time ago, but I remember this cop fired this bullet against orders, and it like went through this wall or something, and it killed this kid.
Right.
And I was like, damn. And that was the moment I was like, wow, this is gonna be fucking awesome. This is gonna be some serious shit.
Because the stakes went up.
Right. And then all the fight scenes that followed were pop, 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 pop. They had some cool kills, but the fight that really indicated to me where this was going was the first fight with that dude with the long hair who looks like the bad guy at a Lethal Weapon 1. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Everyone knows who I'm talking about if they love the Raid. The main bad guy that he fights, okay?
Yeah. They called him the rabbit dog the whole time.
That one. Okay. So he's in this room with another character that we're rooting for. And he could shoot him, but he's like, no, that's too easy. And he puts the gun down and he fights him. That's fine. That's a fine move Fine, I will give you that. You're going to put your gun down because it's too easy to kill him that way. But it took you 10 minutes to kill the guy. If he finished that guy in like, pop, 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 like 3 fucking moves, it'd be like, holy shit, this guy's dangerous. Then it's like, now you know without a doubt that this guy could just destroy you. Just like Lethal Weapon 4. It was not a good movie, but Jet Li could just finish a person off in 2 seconds. So it was really fucking scary when he went up against Mel Gibson and Danny Glover at the end of the movie. It was a great setup. This guy could just snap someone's neck just because he felt like it. Do you understand what I'm saying at all?
I hear what you're saying, but there was stages to him because he's kind of like always, like I said, I always compare everything to video games. Because he was like a sub, like a mini boss. You did get an opportunity to kind of see what he can do, and he was dangerous.
Not kind of. You saw what he could do for 10 minutes.
But that's not
a kind of. That's like in your face for 10 minutes. But this is what he can do.
It's because he's a mad dog. He's playing with his food. Is what he's doing. He's not just devouring it. Just. And then it's like
I didn't get that sense.
It doesn't give us the opportunity to enjoy.
I appreciate that
the art of him taking his time beating the brakes off.
I appreciate that you got that sense from it. I didn't get that sense. I got the sense that there was a fight. There were exchanges for 10 minutes. I didn't get the sense of I could just totally kill him right now. No, I'm going to let this go on a little longer. I never got that sense from him that he was that level of dangerous. I got the sense that he likes to fight.
Yeah,
that's it. I never got the sense that he was super dangerous. Okay, that's the raid 1. Okay. So in the raid 2, the bad guy is totally fucking MIA for most of the fucking movie. The 10-minute bad guy, that fight.
Yeah.
He's gone for most of the movie. He shows up at the very end, and he does this like little thing where he shuffles into place, which looks cool in the trailer.
But he wasn't really the main bad guy.
Are you kidding me? He fights it. That's the last fight before the gunshots. Where no one has any fucking guns in the movie until the end, by the way. Yeah. But he's the last guy that the main character.
He's
fights.
the last fighting guy that he has to fight. And the reason why the raid 2 is even more brilliant than the raid 1. Oh my God. Is because it the raid 1 is just get to the top of the floor, kill the boss, the end. And it plays just like that, which is fine, given that they had a small budget, they had limited locations. They wanted to come up with something that's just clearly entertaining that, like you said, is kind of like gore porn for the most part. And they succeeded. And they did it in a way that hasn't been done like that in today's modern day kind of gunplay / martial arts type film. All right. So now once they've already played that card and they're like, okay, the raid 2. So everybody, the main complaint that everybody said in the raid 2 was just that if there was no depth, it was just, let's just throw a bunch of guns and kung fu, work your way to the top.
You're saying that they said that about raid 1.
They said that about raid 1.
Okay.
So what the writers and the director did for raid 2 was like, okay, let's try and make an actual story out of this. Let's try and have some kind of depth outside of just the badassery that just happens at every step. Mm-hmm. That's why they sent you through the very first. I thought it was brilliant what they did with the trailer. When the very first trailer first came out, they only showed you scenes from inside the prison. That was it. You thought that the entire movie, The Raid, was going to take place in the prison until they recently released the second trailer like a month or so later. That's what I thought. I thought it was going to be a prison film. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then when you see the movie, the prison scene only happens within like the first 30 minutes of the movie. And there's this whole other hour and a half of just amazing epic storytelling. You got the relationship between the gang boss and his son, the movement of power, the main character's attempt to try to save his family by doing this one last job. You've got other outside entities of foreign companies trying to vie for power in this big gigantic cauldron of ass kicking. So now you've got the fighting, you've got the blood, you've got the gore, and now you've got actually something else to stand by, which is a story.
That movie sounds really exciting. I want to see that movie. I do. I really want to see that movie because that's not the movie that they gave me.
It was that.
No. They had his wife in for 5 fucking minutes, and that's supposed to constitute him saving his family? No, fuck you. That's not what happened.
Well, because the story isn't about him just getting back to his wife. The story is about him trying to survive.
No, it's not. The story is, there's no story. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and the main character's gone for most of it until we need some action scenes.
I will agree with you on that. The main character disappears for about 30 to 40 minutes.
That's a big problem.
But that's because he's not specifically just the main character. The relationship between the boss and his son, and his son's attempts to rise to power took a precedent.
Okay.
So you had to develop that relationship so that when the events unfold, it makes it believable. You can't just be like, well, this son is disgruntled and he wants his dad's power and we're just going to have it like that. You have to develop that, and that takes time.
Okay.
And then the car chase scene was dope, man. How do you not like the car chase scene?
Because it's stupid.
How,
it's
man?
so stupid.
They had a whole battle in the back seat of a car.
Why didn't they just pull over? But it's like, do they really need to get there? Is it that fucking important that they can't just... This guy's kicking their ass in the back seat. No one's like, let's just hit the brakes.
I can't argue that because you're
so
right.
Fucking dumb.
I'll give you that.
Like
they should have just pulled. I never thought about that. They could have just pulled over. But they couldn't because they did have to get wherever. Damn, you're right. I can't even argue that. I didn't even think about that. That part, okay.
And so the main character is in the car right before that car chase happens. He's getting stabbed a bunch.
That is true.
And he never there's no blood on his legs. If you get stabbed in the legs, you have any idea how fucking bad that is?
Okay, now you're nitpicking over some small stuff. Okay, here's my question.
There's no blood.
Here's my question.
That's not nitpicking. If someone shanks you, there has to be blood.
There was blood. It just wasn't spurting out of his neck like it came out of the damn jugular.
Dude, that's bullshit. Look. Think about the distance that your arm can reach into a car, right? You can easily reach into the center of a car. There's a human body in the center of a car, okay? The main character who's trying to avoid getting shanked. All these knives are coming in and not one scratch. That's bullshit.
He's good.
Fuck that. That's bullshit.
It's not. No. It's real. Okay, here's my question then. Because I know you're an old school martial arts.
Save the question. I got one more thing to say about it. Okay? What pissed me off more than anything else in the Raid 2 was the setup for the main bad guy that the dude fights. The one fight I appreciated, because I have to give credit to it, is the second to last fight where the main character fights baseball bat guy and Hammer Girl.
Yeah,
that fight was amazing.
That was awesome.
Just from looking at martial arts movie history, that fight stands amongst the best fights. I have to give that fight scene credit.
Right.
Nothing else in that movie deserves my credit.
But even the setup, even the build up to that, because each one of them showed individually what they were capable of. Even like when Hammer Girl was on. I was thinking of the train scene. But there are individual fights between them before they had that final scene. Like Hammer Girl on the train when they're on the train. Okay, and it's just her. And
that one was cool.
15 goons. That's what I'm saying.
That one was cool.
That one was dope. And the same thing with him. It was same with Bat Boy. It was the same thing. Both of those were the setup to the overall when both of them had to fight our hero.
Okay, fine. Those are fine. But that's not even okay. Those are better setups than the main bad guy. Okay. Here's how they set up the main bad guy. Let me school you on some shit.
Please school me.
So there's this derelict who was the bad guy in the first movie, which was really confusing. There's this derelict who is like an undercover cop or something. And I don't even know.
He's just the hitman.
He's a hitman. I'm sorry. So it's been a while since I've seen the
And he's trying to save enough money so that he can see his kid.
Okay. That's right. Now you're jogging my memory. So he's in this club.
Right.
I forgot why he was there. But this guy literally kicks the asses of 150 bad guys. Yeah. Right?
But he takes his lumps too as he's doing it.
Right, of course. So he's getting fucked up. And then he's crawling out of the back of the club, and as he should be, he just fought 150 people.
Right.
And then they showed up. Then they show the main bad guy,
right? And
he cuts him or something. He kills him real quick. It's that was the shittiest fucking setup.
No, you know why? Let me explain why. Because that guy who was the mad dog in the Raid 1. That guy is such a badass that why would you risk sending in your number one guy who probably could beat him one-on-one, but is not going to walk out of there without injury when you can just throw 100 minions at him, weaken him so that your main dude could just come up and just cut his throat. It's saving your dude, man. It's saving your guy. That guy may have been able to I'm sure he could beat him just because he's younger. Okay, but that guy, the guy with the long hair, the mad dog, he was the main boss's hitman. That was the man that he sent out to handle all of his wet work. You've got to whittle that guy down before you kill a man like that. That man is a badass, and he showed it.
That scene was entirely pointless. That does it. What does that scene give the film? What does that scene? How does that push things forward?
Well, it pushes things forward because it's the son's biggest betrayal because he's killing the family's guy.
Oh, right. Okay, fine. It's been a while since I've seen it. Fine, I concede. However, I concede on that, but I don't concede on a terrible setup for the main bad guy. Because the thing about it is, I need to see this guy waste someone who is badass, who is ready to fight, who isn't tired, who's got energy. I need to see him waste someone dangerous.
Well, he did.
But he did it because the guy was tired. It's like my fucking daughter could beat him at that fucking point.
That's called being smart. You don't throw your main guy to a wolf who you know could probably beat him, but he's not going to come out without being unscarred.
You know what's smart? Is if Mad Dog just shot the guy instead of putting his gun down and fighting him for 10 minutes.
Mad Dog didn't have a gun on him. All he had was that blade.
Whatever he had, he could have killed the guy easily, and he didn't. In the first movie.
Oh, well, no, because his skills are so good. It's a disrespect to the craft.
Dude,
it's a disrespect to the craft.
You're counter-arguing yourself.
To just shoot somebody when you could just, let me show you what I'm nice.
You're counter-arguing yourself because if you apply the same philosophy to the main bad guy in the second movie, then it should have been something similar.
But you could make that argument for every single movie, especially when it comes to martial arts. Just shoot the guy.
I'm not saying just shoot the guy. I'm saying set it up properly. Set up your main bad guy properly. Mad Dog shouldn't have had a 10-minute fight. It should have been like, come on, come fuck with me. They should have set up the guy he was fighting as someone dangerous.
How do you not like that fight? The fight was epic.
In 10 moves, it should have been like a Kill Bill Volume 2 death.
No.
It's not a waste because it's not a waste because then when your main character fights him for 10 minutes, you're like, oh my God, okay, now there's some fucking tension there. You remove all tension when you let the guy fight for 10. Now we're repeating ourselves. So I did not like the setup for.
What movie today, modern day kung fu movie not kung fu, excuse me, modern day.
The Matrix.
I said modern day.
The Matrix.
The Matrix came out like 15 years ago.
That's modern-ish. The Matrix is a perfect example of what a martial arts movie needs to do. You saw right away how dangerous the agents were. You saw there was a fear. They wouldn't even confront them physically. And you saw what the agent did to Morpheus, someone who's Neo's teacher. This guy took him out inside of a minute. He fucking destroyed him. Then Neo's able to stand up to him for 3 minutes. Then you know Neo's elevated his shit. He's surpassed Morpheus. He's surpassed his master. There's a clear understanding of what's happening there story-wise.
What today, within the last 5 years, what movie can even hold a candle to the Raid? Please. Maybe IP Man, Ip Man.
Ip Man, stupid.
Ip Man, IP. If I said Ip afterwards, Ip Man 1, maybe. That one was good. That one was really good. But outside of that, that's it. The Raid holds the throne, man.
Holds the throne of bullshit.
Just
it stinks.
There you go again. You're that old man with your cane holding on to old Jackie Chan videos.
That's right. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You sound like my old man holding on to Marvin Gaye albums, man. You got to move with the times.
Why am I not
man?
allowed to cite The Matrix or old Jackie Chan movies?
Because you've got to move forward. For someone that wants to live forever, you sure hold on to a lot of old shit.
I want that old shit to live forever. God damn it!
It's not going to happen. Get off.
Are
your
you
porch
kidding
with
me?
Your cane.
We still have It's a Wonderful Life playing every fucking year on Christmas.
Okay, now I will give you something that does kind of come close to the Raid as far as action is concerned. And that was Captain America 2.
Oh, God.
You gonna shit on Captain America 2?
That's another episode, man.
What?
That's another episode. We'll talk about that another time.
We're gonna talk about
Okay,
this.
what's your bad thing?
My bad thing is easy. I'm so tired of spending an insane amount of money to go to the IMAX theater. You can Jesus Christ me all you want to because you're gonna need Jesus on this one, man. Okay, so it costs like $20 out here to go to an IMAX movie, and they're putting any old kind of movie on the IMAX screen. All right, now in order for you to have an IMAX movie, you have to have a specific type of camera that shoots specifically on IMAX film.
Yeah.
One of the only movies that I've seen that does it successful, well, there's two. But the main one I'm going to talk about is
Interstellar.
No, Interstellar's
Hunger
an old
Games.
one. No. The Batman Returns was one of the very first ones that used
The
IMAX.
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight. Excuse me, man. What's wrong with me? My brain. The Dark Knight, and it only had what 15 minutes of
20
actual
minutes, 20 minutes
It
of
had
IMAX.
20 minutes of actual IMAX footage. And when you see it on IMAX, it is breathtaking. It is absolutely beautiful.
Dark Knight Returns had more.
And you enjoy it and you can appreciate what you're looking at. But the other 90% of the movies that they put at are shot on a regular camera and they just blow it up on a big gigantic screen and you sit there with a headache, spinning around, getting dizzy, blowing $20, and then they suck another $5 more out of your soul and give you 3D glasses to go along with it to make the throw up complete. Please tell me how you can defend some bullshit like that.
Okay. I agree with you that a movie being blown up to IMAX that wasn't shot in IMAX is wrong. It's a sin.
It's a sin.
It's a cardinal fucking sin, right? Is cardinal like the worst sin? I can't remember.
Yeah,
okay. So I completely disagree with just blowing up a film beyond its original format that it was shot in.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I tried watching what's the ocean, the robots fighting in the ocean that just came out like a couple
Pacific
years ago?
Rim?
Pacific Rim. I tried watching that in IMAX 3D, and I had to go all the way to the back of the theater because it's just like it's jarring to watch.
Exactly.
I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they take movies that weren't shot in 3D and post-process it into 3D. If it's not shot in 3D, it's not 3D. The only exception I will make for that is
Avatar?
No. Avatar was shot in 3D. It was this Gravity.
Oh,
Gravity was not shot in 3D, but it looked great. So they took painstaking efforts to make sure that film looked right. However, films that are shot in IMAX, such as Hunger Games, the second Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight, Interstellar, all Christopher Nolan movies in general, films that were shot, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, the movies that were shot in IMAX or have IMAX footage, I think are worth the price of admission because you will never, ever get that experience at home. You will never get that visual or audible experience at home, ever. And so it's like, it's this experience that you can buy, that you know is finite and will never be able to be enjoyed like that ever again once it leaves theaters. It's an interesting experience that you get to possess that future generations don't, that you can talk about. Whereas everything else is there forever. Anything shot in 16:9, you can pull it up on your iPhone and everyone can enjoy it just the fucking same. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just like, let me backtrack a little bit.
No, I mean, you're
but
doing an all right job to defend IMAX, but is it worth paying that premium price?
If you know how to buy it properly, then yes. Like you go to Costco, you buy your AMC tickets, and you use that as a way to offset the cost because then you're saving like 25, 30% of the cost of the ticket. They're raping you on these ticket prices now. They're just gouging you, and there's no one to stop it and go, hey, that's too much now.
But most IMAX films aren't shot on IMAX cameras.
I agree with you. Star Trek, that was shot in IMAX partly, I think.
Yeah, partly. And then when you do have movies that are shot on IMAX, it's only like 15 minutes of it, 20 minutes of it. Because the process is so expensive.
Because it's so expensive. But Christopher Nolan's pushing. Did you watch Interstellar?
I didn't see it on IMAX, though.
Like half that movie, at least an hour of that movie was shot in IMAX.
Now that I didn't know. I didn't know it was that much time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for me, it was worth it.
Okay, now in that instance, that's worth
You
it.
concede.
I can, yeah, okay. I'll concede on that one. But on all this other stuff, especially this stuff that's not made for IMAX, and you know what? Here's another thing, man. I don't think most people realize that. I think they just see the IMAX and they think,
oh, dude, AMC is totally stealing money from people because if there's a comparison you can find online where they show like an AMC IMAX versus a real IMAX, like an AMC IMAX comes up to about, let's just say here, a real IMAX is like this. It's a staggering difference between the two. Right. And AMC is calling it IMAX, and IMAX is happy to take the money, going, well, it meets the quality, it meets the standards of our quality, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, you're just like...
That's the hustle.
You know, you're one of those guys now. All right then.
Okay, so... well, never mind. Give me your next question, man. What's your last bet? That was the last bet?
Let's recap a little bit there.
Gosh.
So
we was rocking and rolling on that.
My good thing was Cryogenics.
Yeah.
Your good thing was what?
Television a la carte.
And my bad thing was The Raid 2. It is bad. What's wrong with you, man? And your bad thing was?
IMAX.
I'm going to get raped in the comments about Raid 2, man. There's a lot of...
As you should. Please, let him have it. It's just blasphemous talk about the Raid, man. What's wrong with you?
Thank you guys for watching. What do you recommend for comics this time?
Oh, let's see. Comics. What do I read? Oh man, there's a great series called 100 Bullets.
100
Concept is pretty cool. A man shows up with a briefcase. He's got a gun that's untraceable in 100 rounds, and when within this briefcase is an envelope that has information concerning somebody that has wronged you in some way. He hands it to you and is like, "Handle your business."
Wow.
It's 100. It's called 100 Bullets. It's 100 comics, and it's a very good read.
That sounds interesting. I got to check that out. Thank you guys for checking our videos. We got previous episodes you can look at if you want to click this button right here to see our previous episodes. We got other content, trailer reactions, short films you can check out. Please comment. Let us know what you guys think. Vote it up if you like it. Vote it down if you don't. Vote up the topics or vote down the topics that we brought in. Tell us what you like. And suggest anything if you want us to talk about it. I am Jabby Koay. Peace out.
And I am Sintel. Back at you.